Thank you for staying tuned to what's happening now with Laura. And today we're talking about rape. We're talking about the incident that happened on Friday after a jazz event right in the heart of town, where four of our young future leaders were brutalized, forced to rape each other, and forced to watch while a brute raped their friends. Our lines are open to you so that you can share your thoughts with us. The number is on the screen, 451-9788. You can call us on that, 451-9788, or you can send me your WhatsApp messages on 284-6536, or send me your emails at laurajapierre@gmail.com. You know, in the first two segments, I predominantly spoke about women being raped and girls being raped. We have our first call. Thank you for calling What's Happening Now with Laura.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, good evening.
Yeah, I just think like you see the Prime Minister, we need to take a look at his members, his cabinet. We need to take a look at St. Lucian, how they're suffering, and the nonsense he's talking all over television. And our people need to open their eyes how things are going on in St. Lucian. We have a lot of fools, and Kenny is fooling the fools, and they will keep on being fooled all the time. Kenny need to, we in St. Lucian need to open our eyes over what's going on in St. Lucian. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. And you know, and this is the thing, you know, our people are so disillusioned. Our people are so hurt. We have another call online. Thank you for calling us. Thank you for calling What's Happening Now with Laura.
Yeah, good evening, Laura.
Good evening.
Laura, what baffles me is that how our Prime Minister knows is one or two serial rapists that is on island.
Well, we don't know he was referring to Island M. We know that he said that there is one or two serial rapists in our midst. That's what we know. We don't know. In our midst. We don't know what our midst means.
There is something that the PM knows and is not letting out then. Because if you know they have one or two in our midst, okay, what you have to do is to name the rapists and let the rapists face the consequences. Because if you know something, you cannot allow what you know to continue just plaguing our ladies like this.
But it's not the first time that our Prime Minister knows something and is not doing anything about it. Remember, he saw the hit list. He never did anything about it. Remember, he knows why Richard Frederick lost his visa. He never said anything about it. This is his MO. This is how our Prime Minister operates. He knows things and he sits on it. Meanwhile, our men and women are being raped. Our children are being murdered in this country.
Laura, I believe that this government and our Prime Minister do not care about rape. And our Prime Minister and his government don't care about what happened to our women in St. Lucia. Because had this government care about women and the brutal rapes that are happening in this country, I believe first the Prime Minister would come out and say, okay, the two serial rapists we have in our midst is Tom and Jerry. So then everybody will know that, okay, Tom and Jerry is two serial rapists. Then the police will act upon the Prime Minister's words, because he knows that Tom and Jerry are two serial rapists. But if you know that and you're not doing anything, and the rapists are in your midst, so therefore you don't care. Anyway,
Absolutely.
thank you, Laura.
You're very welcome. Thank you for calling. And you know, and the thing about it is that we have these platitudes. We say these platitudes. You know, we're grateful for the petition for the rape. We have another call online. We have a call. Thank you for calling. What's happening now?
Good night, Laura.
Good night.
How are you doing?
Bruised, but I'm hanging in there.
I haven't seen you passing in my office for a while.
You haven't seen me passing through your office.
For a while, yeah.
Okay.
I must say that I am not.
Oh, okay.
Jane
Now
Brown,
I know who I'm talking to.
Yeah, I
Yes.
am not Jane Brown. Jane Brown. I am not the Prime Minister press secretary.
Mm-hmm.
So I am in no means calling to represent her. But I think I have to bring a little balance at this point in time to your program.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is unfair to bash the
Prime Minister.
the Prime Minister. I'll tell you under what basis.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should have been a little more subtle in that statement that you.
But maybe
that
that's
you
the
made,
problem.
Concerning the Prime Minister has information that he is withholding from the police. To me, I don't really support that statement that you make. I listened to you quite attentively, and to me, you should be a little subtle as to
Okay, so explain
what you-
explain what you mean when you say I need to be a little bit more subtle, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. I think when you said that the Prime Minister has information, concerning the rape thing, and you said that he's withholding it
But what?
from the police.
But you're not telling me why I should have been more subtle on this.
So no, do you have evidence that the Prime Minister has information and he's withholding from the police?
But the
do you have
Prime Minister. But hold on, sweetie. Hold on.
Any information that he's doing that?
But yes,
Wow.
the Prime Minister said there are 1 or 2 serial rapists in our midst. Those were his words. He didn't say I believe. He didn't say I have cause to think. He said there are definitive. He didn't suggest. He's not speculating. He's not saying I am assuming. He's not doing any of those things. He's not leaving a shadow over that. And don't forget, our Prime Minister is a constitutional law professor. He has taken the bar. He is a lawyer. This man speaks the English language and understands it all too well, perhaps better than you and I.
How do you know that
And-
he isn't? You observe once you're speaking, I am listening.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. We're having a conversation in a typical
I am
submission way.
listening quite attentively to
Yes,
you, so I would like that.
Of course. Go
courtesy,
ahead.
please.
Mhm.
Yeah. How do you know that he's not working in hand, with the law enforcement officers? I believe that the Prime Minister, there are certain things that certain information that he is privy to, and he cannot disseminate it in public. So you cannot tell what is happening behind the scenes. Just maybe, I think you should give him the benefit of the doubt that he is working hand in hand with the police to bring, that situation under, some form of.
Let me just
protection. That's my personal view.
Let me just interject here.
Yeah.
How many of our girls and our boys and our children and our women must be raped and killed
None. None.
before the Prime Minister comes out and says to us, guys, listen, people of my brothers and my sisters, we are working assiduously with the police to get a handle on this crime scourge, this rape situation. We're asking for your assistance. We're asking for you to bear with us. Not a word, Gasper, not a word has our Prime Minister ever said with regard to that. All the people asking, a lot of the times, if you listen to the talk shows, a lot of the people are just asking for some measure of comfort, just to assuage their minds, just to appease their minds, just a peace of mind. That's all they're asking for. They're not asking for a heck of a lot, Yes, we want the scourge eradicated. Yes, we want rape to be brought, to a minimum. But what they're basically asking is for a restore of confidence, a restore of hope. They're not getting that. Our
But
Prime
then,
Minister is not saying anything.
but
The
that
Prime
doesn't mean
Minister,
someone-
hold on. The Prime Minister, in all of his wisdom, can come out and talk about impacts. A report he should never have seen, a report that should have gone straight to the DPP. He could come out on national television and tell us about it, put the police at risk, talk about, make blanket statements about government officials and business people, list the previous DPP, But he cannot come out and say a word, Casper,
Laura?
not a word,
Laura?
not a word on
Laura?
why rape is so rampant and what they're doing
Laura?
to help the situation.
Laura?
Come on.
Laura, I understand your hurts, your pain as an activist and as a woman, and you are my friend, I suppose so, and you know that when we meet, we are very passionate concerning these things, and I know that you are genuine and you are feeling the pain that these young ladies feel. But I also believe, knowing the Prime Minister, that he too is feeling the hurts and the pain that these people are feeling, and I believe in due course these things will be addressed. Now I don't want you to express how you expressed earlier on, so I will end on that note until we meet again.
Okay,
Bye-bye. God bless.
okay, my dear, take care.
Right, okay, cool, bye-bye.
But at the end of the day, I want the caller to understand that what he knows, I don't know. The Prime Minister is not my friend. I do not know the Prime Minister personally. All I can vouch for is what the Prime Minister says and what he puts out there in the public domain. I am sorry if I refuse to give the Prime Minister any flack on this. We have another call online. Thank you for calling. What's happening now? You're on the air.
Hi, Laura. Good night.
Hi, good night.
Yeah, I'm just listening to your story. I find it very interesting tonight. But let's not put the blame on the Prime Minister. I'm not trying to be political. I don't want to be into no politics.
I want you to be
like
political because it is political.
I'm saying we can't blame the Prime Minister for what is happening in the country when it comes to that. Okay. When it comes to that part, there is thugs in the island, and we as the people supposed to deal with these thugs, okay? But to blame the Prime Minister, I think we go. Trust me, you're going good, but you're a little bit out of line on that part. So that's not.
Thank you for your call and for your comments. But at the end of the day, I want to tell you something.
Yes.
Do you listen to the radio, right?
I am listening to the radio.
Okay. There is an ad that the Prime Minister has put out. And he talks about infrastructure. And he talks about tourism. He talks about commerce. And he talks about a slew of other things. And you know what the ad says? You know who's responsible for all of those things? Kenny. That's what the ad says. Kenny is responsible for all of those things. So if Kenny can take responsibility for all of those things, he can take responsibility for the bad things. It's not just the good things. He is a one-man show. He is a one-man government, and he can take responsibility and accolades for all of those things. He sure as heck can take responsibility for the inertia of the Justice Minister. He can certainly take responsibility for the inertia of our police force. He can certainly take responsibility for all of the bad things that happen in this country, because when it comes to the good things, Kenny is the man. Thank you so much for your call. We appreciate it very much.
Can I ask an honest question?
Ask.
All right. Do you have something personal against him, or are you just...
How am I not surprised that this actually came? This is the question. I do not know. Listen. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question. Yes.
I'm being honest.
I'm going to give you an answer.
I don't care about none of these politicians.
I
do care about what happened in St. Lucia. And I think you should put a little blame on the police.
Sir, I'm going to give you an honest answer since you asked an honest question.
Right.
I do not know the Prime Minister. I have no grief against the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister means nothing to me on a personal level except when it comes to his job as a Prime Minister. And I think the Prime Minister's got a failing grade because the Prime Minister wants to take responsibility or wants to accept all the accolades for the good things and not for the bad things. And for that reason, because he is the Prime Minister, the buck stops at his desk. Because he is the Prime Minister and he has told us 1 or 2 serial rapists exist in our midst. I want to know what he means by that. That is why I am holding the Prime Minister accountable. The Commissioner of Police is the next one to get on the firing grill. But for now, the Prime Minister is not only responsible for the finance of the country. The Prime Minister is responsible for the running of this country, whether it's on a financial level, whether it's on a social level. The Prime Minister is responsible.
So you tell me
End
the
of
Prime
story.
Minister- if a
Thank you
guy-
very much
if
for
a
your
guy
call, sir.
chop a
We have
guy-
some
if a
other
guy
calls.
chop a
We have
guy
some other
next
calls on
somewhere-
line. We appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. But the Prime Minister, I'm sorry to say, folks, is responsible because the Prime Minister says everything that happens in this country is Kenny. Kenny's the man. So if Kenny could be the one for tourism and Kenny can be the one for infrastructure, he's building the bridges, he's going around the world and bringing investment into this country, he is behind CIP and all of the good stuff, then the Prime Minister is responsible. And hey, I don't have to say it. The Prime Minister is the one who says there are 1 or 2 serial rapists in our midst. It is incumbent upon the Prime Minister to say to us what exactly he means by 1 or 2 serial rapists in our midst and why is it he's not doing anything about it. We have another call online. Thank you for calling. What's
Mr.
happening
Good
now?
night.
Good night.
I will never agree with Mr. Pio at all.
Well, that's okay.
Tell us go and kill the Prime Minister.
The
Well,
Prime Minister's ad says so. Everything is Kenny. Everything is Kenny.
Did you appear?
So the Alva does not have a job. Alva is just there eating taxpayers' money. Alvina is not doing anything. She's just there collecting taxpayers' money. Oh, don't ask for Kalakob in here. Oh, we are in agreement with that. He ain't doing nothing. He just eating taxpayers' money. Lon ain't doing nothing. He just there eating taxpayers' money. Emma is not doing anything. She's just there scandalizing the place. You know,
I know
she's
they're
not
doing
doing
nothing.
anything. She's just eating taxpayers' money. Everything is Kenny. Kenny.
Everything
Kenny.
Prime
And
Minister?
so, when the Prime Minister says 1 or 2 serial rapists in our midst, and this is the last call I'm going to take about that, because at the end of the day, we are watering down what the real issue is at hand. The real issue at hand is the fact that our men, our children, our boys, our girls, our women are being raped in the heart of our city, and nothing is being done about it. Not a word, not a word, not a word from our ministers. Forget the ministers, because the Prime Minister is the one who is everything to us.
Laura,
Why is the Prime Minister not saying?
Wait.
I didn't hear any of the other ministers saying that there are 1 or 2 serial rapists, you know. It's
Laura,
only the Prime Minister.
Laura, let me tell you, I know how old are you. Let me tell you something what happened some years ago. Do you remember an incident?
7
happened?
years ago?
Yeah, some a few years ago. I don't remember exactly. Do you know the name Velon John?
Velon John,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Was he magistrate in those days?
I beg your pardon?
He was a magistrate in those days, right?
He was a magistrate,
Do you remember what happened in that time?
Elucidate me.
When I think something went wrong. I think some guy raped somebody. The then Prime Minister was Sir John Compton. He said to flog the guy in the square. What happened for that? Sir John said no. Big thing. Everybody coming down. Sir John said no way. What happened?
He said to flog the guy in town.
Yeah, on the square.
And the Prime Minister said, but my goodness. You know, that is the reason why. And I think that's, Arthur, that is the reason why we have so many human rights infractions against us in this country, you know. A criminal is still a human being. He committed a crime. There is the law to deal with him. Flogging him in the square, is that legal? Is that inhuman, or is that the best way we can? You know what, Arthur? You cannot take a wrong and expect the Prime Minister of the day to come and powder it, perfume it, and say it's okay. This is a human rights infraction. We have people whose heads have been shone at Baudelaire, and we screaming out about it. But you want a man to be flogged in the town square. Why wasn't he brought to justice? Why wasn't he thrown behind bars? Why wasn't the law used to deal with him? Why do we want the Prime Minister of the day to sanction an inhumane act? Thank you very much, Arthur. I appreciate your call, but I am sorry.
Run away.
No, I'm not running away. I am not on this show we are going to talk about. You're not done with me? Well, I am done with you, because what you're talking about is inhumane, and what you're talking about are infractions to our human rights. I am sorry. Thank you very much, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You know, just because a law exists does not make it right. And if the law does not address what we have signed, international conventions that we have signed, then it needs to be stricken from the law. There are lots of things on the law books that we just cast a blind eye and we say nothing about, but we want the most inhumane things. We have a track record of terrible human rights violations in this country, but we want to add more to it, and we want to take things that from yesteryear and bring it up to add wood to the fire. Not on what's happening now. This is not going to happen on my watch. I am not going to condone any infractions of human rights in this country. No way, no how. Do we have another call? Good night. Thank you for calling What's Happening Now.
You will have noticed, of course, that nobody has touched on the subject of rape.
Nobody.
You'll have noticed that nobody has even discussed the horror that allegedly went on in the square.
Absolutely not.
But you will notice that every caller has sought to free the Prime Minister of responsibility.
Exactly.
There is a difference between blame and responsibility.
Exactly.
It's context. If the Prime Minister was himself raping the people, then you'd blame him for the rape.
Precisely.
But the Prime Minister, he has the responsibility, as far as is possible, to keep women, children, and people safe from all criminality in the country.
Absolutely.
That is his responsibility. He also is quite correct to take responsibility for what Pip and the rest of them do, because he says yes or no. So if at the end of the day he's taking responsibility, I have no problem with that. He can take the responsibility and he can take all credit for it. But and by the way, it's not the Prime Minister telling you anything. It's people who apparently are less interested in the rape than they are with the Prime Minister's apparent public image.
Absolutely.
Because the Prime Minister is responsible for the quality of police we have. Imagine that the square was not properly policed, was not properly guarded, that there was nobody there to make certain that kids didn't hang around, young girls hanging around.
Exactly.
And somebody's going to tell me the parents? I mean, come on.
Exactly.
The Prime Minister is the head of the country, and we pay him a salary with our taxes to protect us. Laws are passed in the House that are supposed to be obeyed. The Prime Minister is responsible for this. The horror also is that the Prime Minister has demonstrated no particular interest in this rape matter. I can't say he's alone, but he took over from others who were bad too. But we don't replace bad and expect worse.
Exactly.
When
we say that we're going to be
get
better.
something better.
Exactly.
So it is absolutely asinine and callous for anybody to totally ignore what happened to those children, what happened to all those people. You flash their names, they rest in peace. Not a word about all of those people. All those dead
and you know what, Rick? You know what though? I was speaking to someone and they're saying that this is touching the families concerned so deeply because they have a history of those things. It is unspeakable. It is unspeakable, Laura, what has happened to this family, and nobody cares. Nobody cares.
I remember at the time of the Giselle Georges thing. I don't know where that gentleman is, and I hope he's hearing my voice. I'd love him to contact me. That gentleman called me so many nights on shows. Giselle Georges' father. He tried and tried and tried, and the system beat him. He's not alone. Shaka, does anybody care what happened to Mary Ratcliffe's kids? They are around, and there's some good Samaritans in this country who took care of them for a while. They are around, and they ain't doing very good. People believe that once the rape is over and it's forgotten, it's not.
Yeah.
It is not. And, of course, the discouragement is for you to stop it because it's election time.
Right.
And that's the whole point. Don't say those things at election time, but it is at election time in particular that we must underscore
absolutely
how little these politicians care for the health and protection of the people of this country, the more vulnerable in particular, by which I mean the young people. Great show. Thank you for your passion.
Thank you so much for your comments and, for actually saying, underscoring what I've been trying to say for the last hour and a half. This is precisely it. We're missing the point completely. We're missing the point. We're not blaming the prime minister. We're holding the prime minister. That was my last call. We're holding the prime minister accountable, and I want to share a quote with our viewers. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. So when our viewers call and pretend to know, that is the greatest enemy of knowledge. And I just want to share a couple of messages, that WhatsApp messages, because we run out of time, but I just want to share a few things that have come in through WhatsApp. Somebody says, wow, you've said it all. Please remind our young to refrain from being away from the public's eyes because of what St. Lucia is today. Not that you shouldn't be youthful, not that you shouldn't be young, but because of the situation, you're being asked to refrain from being away from the public's eyes and don't stay in isolated areas, please. And then we have another one where the person says, that's a long one. Good night. My take on the topic is that it was too distasteful. I was deeply saddened and hurt just to hear the story, and for the PM to do nothing about it makes me question my and my family's security in St. Lucia. And I also question what actions have been taken against the rapists in our midst, because we don't know what he's doing. We honestly don't know. We've had many instances to not trust him, especially with all the information he's withheld. Who knows what else he's withholding? It's time for us to stand up as a country. For all we know, he could be driving us back into slavery. I mean, come on. But then again, the same way we don't know who the rapists in our midst are, is the same way we don't know what he's doing. 4 of our future leaders could have been killed on Friday. Could have been killed. And that's a very, very stark reality. And if they were killed, it would have just been tossed aside like a pile of garbage, just like all the other cases. 2 girls got raped. 2 boys paralyzed with fear and have to stay there and be useless while that happened to their friend. I mean, come on. Yeah. Exactly. Come on. We have another one where I think most hacks are missing the point. Our PM says there are 2 serial rapists in our midst. If our PM is really serious about rape, everyone in his midst that he knows of, he should start in-house, and then we will know he is serious. And these are some of the comments that I'm getting, and it's really sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. But I want to thank you all for being here, for listening, for allowing me to enter your homes, and for sharing this with you. It's a passion of mine. I think all of us should share in that passion. All of us should care, because our young people, we say they are our future. They are our future. And just imagine if the very fabric of your future is tarnished from the get-go. Imagine what kind of future you would have. Just imagine what kind of future you would have. I want us to remember as we close. I want to thank, before we close, I want to thank my guests who have been in studio with me and who allowed me to have this show on, because it was so important and touched them in such a meaningful way. I want to thank them especially, and I want to thank you as well. And I want us to remember the following names who are being reaped in perpetuity: Cheryl Hunt, Mary Ratcliffe, Valinda Joseph, Valerie Lord, Giselle Georges, Crystal Felix, Crystal St. Omer, Alicia Hunt, and I want to add Cherise Benoit, because this bright star wanted to help with our crime situation by becoming a forensics specialist, and she was snuffed out. Lights out. Until next week, this has been What's Happening Now with Laura. Thank you for staying tuned.